Well, hello everybody, it's Papa. I wanted to read you a Christmas story. We're in December now. We just started December, but Christmas is going to be coming pretty soon. So I wanted to read you a story about Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. Do you see the red nose? And also, I wanted to show you what I finished today. Look at this. That's the birdhouse I was working on. And you can see that. Didn't it turn out nice? And Parker helped me nail the top on it with a nail gun, but look at that. Looks nice. It's got shingles on it and it matches the big cabin. So anyway, I wanted you to see that. I hope you all are doing good. We're going to be going up to see Lily and Levi pretty soon and spend Christmas with them, so we're excited about that. And we just visited with Parker and Gemma and Lucy and Evie. And of course, there's the Larsons with Davis and Sarah and Jake. And then there's the Johnstons with Isaac and Elise, Caleb, Laura, and Janae. So hope all you guys are doing well, and I hope you enjoyed the little workshop I did when I painted the birdhouse. But you can see it turned out pretty good. Well, let's go ahead and read about Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. And look, this book was given to Kendra. So this is an old book, and it was given to Kendra. Once there was a reindeer named Rudolph who lived at the North Pole in Toyland. And there's a picture of Rudolph up in Toyland. Look, way up where it snows all the time pretty much. Rudolph was younger and smaller than the other reindeer there. They all had proud, tall antlers. Rudolph's antlers were only tiny little snubs. Worst of all, Rudolph had a nose that was big and bright red. It was so red it even glowed in the dark. And so people thought Rudolph's nose was just silly and teased poor Rudolph. Poor Rudolph, he wanted to be like the other reindeer in Toyland. Oh, to have a small brown nose instead of a big bright red one. That would just make his day. The other reindeer made fun of Rudolph and called him names. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, they teased him over and over again until he started crying sometimes, which is sad. They shouldn't have teased him. Sometimes the other reindeer made a circle around Rudolph. So here's some of the other reindeer, and look at their big antlers. And there's little Rudolph with his nose. And they'd circle around him and say, red nose, a funny sight, big as an apple and twice as bright. They kicked up snowballs with their tiny hooves and covered Rudolph with a blanket of white and fluffy snow. So they were not being very nice to poor Rudolph, and they were kicking snow at him and calling him names. I hope we would never do something like that to somebody we knew. They're just not being really nice. All the reindeer loved to play games. They played tree tag and snow slide and tumble bones, but Rudolph was never asked to play. He stood behind a pine tree and watched. He was very lonely. So there's everybody out playing and having fun, and there's Rudolph behind a little pine tree, sort of like we have at the cabin, and he was just watching. Do you think that's nice? I don't think it's nice. They should have asked him to play in the games. It's only good to be nice. Rudolph couldn't even play hide and seek with the rabbits. his glowing red nose gave him away every time. So there's a bunch of rabbits, and there's Rudolph, and his nose would be so bright it would be easy to find him. He was a little bit sad. Well, let's see what happens. Before Christmas Eve, Santa's elves posted a sign on the gate to Toyland. So the elves are painting up a sign. And what does it say? It says, Santa's team choosing time. All the reindeer were asked to line up at 8 o'clock in the meadow. Santa Claus was coming to choose the reindeer that would deliver presents to every good little boy and girl in the world. So everybody's so excited because they want to be chosen by Santa Claus so they can help deliver all the presents, and it'd be like they're an important reindeer. The reindeer danced with excitement when they heard the news. They pranced and they tossed their antlers and they pawed at the snowy ground with their hooves. Each reindeer hoped he would be chosen to guide Santa's sleigh. It was the greatest honor a reindeer could ever have, as being chosen to pull Santa in his sleigh on Christmas. So they were all excited. Look at their eyes and their antlers, and their ears are all perked out. I think look at them. They're jumping and hopping. These reindeer are having a great time. Did you see Rudolph in any of that? I didn't see Rudolph at all. Ah, Rudolph sighed. He was ashamed to have Santa see his bright nose, so he decided to hide when he saw the sign. He saw the sign, but he felt embarrassed, I guess, so he decided he was just going to hide because he thought that would be better than Santa seeing his nose. At 8 o'clock, when all the other reindeer had gone to the meadow, Rudolph hid behind a holly hedge. And there's a holly hedge, but guess what? Holly has little red berries, and it might make it so it's hard to see Rudolph's nose because his nose might look like one of the red berries. So that was sort of smart. His bright nose blended right in with the bright red berries. Oh my, of the holly hedge. And the thick growth of leaves concealed the rest of him. No one would find him there. Oh, do you see Santa's sleigh up there? And all the deer are starting to move over near it so they might get picked. And Rudolph is going to stay behind the holly tree. And hopefully he's not wanting to be noticed. I feel bad for Rudolph. He's probably a wonderful reindeer. It's just sad that nobody wants to be with him. In the meadow, all the reindeer in Toyland, except for Rudolph, stood in a line with Santa, inspecting them. Look at this. There's Santa, and there's an elf taking notes. Who's going to get picked? And look at the reindeer lined up. Oh my, and there's another elf. Look at all the reindeer lined up, wanting to be part of Santa's sleigh team. Then Santa said, I think Dasher will be fine. He's the biggest reindeer, said Santa. Dasher, wrote his elf assistant in a big book. And Dancer is the strongest, said Santa, pulling his beard. Dancer, wrote the elf. So now he's writing down the elves' names, and Santa's seeing Dasher and Dancer. Ho, 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 let's see, continued Santa. Here's Prancer and here's Vixen. They make the smoothest landings on the rooftop. Look at, he's picking them. There he is. He's picking those deer, and he's picking them So far, because they're the biggest or the strongest or they have good landings on the roofs. Comet is the fastest. And Cupid is the most sure-footed, said Santa. I pick them. And last, said Santa, I choose Donner and Blitzen. They're best at twisting over treetops and skimming over telephone poles. Look at that. So he's picking his team. The reindeer in Santa's team were very happy. They rubbed their nose, they danced and clicked their antlers together. Even the reindeer who weren't chosen were given good jobs. One was to try out electric trains, another was to cuddle Christmas kittens. So everybody had a little job to do, even if they weren't picked to go on with Santa. So they're helping with the toys and with little kittens and things like that. Well, the only reindeer without a job was poor Rudolph. He wanted to help, but he knew he would be laughed at. So he stayed behind the holly hedge. And there's Rudolph. He can sort of see what's going on. Do you see that? But he's hiding behind the bushes. At last it was Christmas Eve. Santa's elves were busy packing the sleigh. I don't care if they do make fun of me, said Rudolph suddenly. I want to help too. I think that's a good thing. I'm glad he wanted to help. He dashed from his hiding place behind the hedge and went straight to find Santa. There must be something I can do to help, he decided. So there's Rudolph right up there, running. And there's the elves starting to pack the sleigh to go out for Christmas with all the toys. That night was bitter cold, and a terrible fog covered all the earth. Fog is where it's like a low cloud, and it's really hard to see. It's like you can hardly see across the street. Santa's elves kept bumping into each other as they hitched up the team. They could hardly see as they put on bright red harnesses and tried each jingle bell. They were having a hard time. It was so hard to see, and they were all bumping into each other. To make matters worse, Dasher and Dancer were fighting over who was the lead reindeer. I was chosen first, said Dasher, stamping angrily. But you always trip over the moon, said Dancer, kicking a falling star. Even Santa was cross. We'll never get there if you two don't stop quarreling or arguing, he said. And where is my Christmas list? Gosh darn, I can't see a thing in this fog. There's Santa. Everybody's getting sort of angry by accident because it's so hard to see and they're trying to get things done. It's like trying to get things done with your eyes sort of closed. So anyway, let's see what happened. Just then, a soft red glow lit up the snow. Thank goodness, said Santa, suddenly happy again. I found my list. Ho, ho, ho. I must have tucked it in my belt. So there is Rudolph with his nose so bright. And all of a sudden, Santa found his important list, and he's starting to be happy. Who brought this fine flashlight? Asked Santa. I must take it with me. Why, I can see perfectly now. It's not a lantern, said Rudolph, trembling. The light comes from my nose. And there's Rudolph talking to Santa. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, said Santa. I'm certainly glad to see you. Your light will guide my sleigh tonight. I appoint you head of my team and #1 reindeer in all the world. So now Rudolph, because he went away from behind the bush, wanted to talk to Santa Claus about something he could do. Now Everybody likes his bright red reindeer nose. And he's going to be the first reindeer and the most important one. That's a big deal. Rudolph held his head high. He was so excited, and he proudly pranced to the front of the team. Look at him. There's the other reindeer lined up, but they want Rudolph with his nice nose light to be in the very front to guide them. All the other reindeer bowed. Donner and Dancer helped Rudolph put on his harness, and Cupid gave him a beautiful sprig of holly berries. They're getting ready to go, and there's Rudolph, and it's still so hard to see, but with Rudolph there it's much better. Then down, down through the clouds and over the sleeping houses, Santa and his team flew on that foggy Christmas night. And leading the whole team was Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. Look at him out. There's Santa and all the reindeer. And there's Rudolph with his beautiful red nose. So if you see a soft glow in the sky on Christmas Eve, you can be sure that Rudolph, the most famous reindeer of all, is very near. There's Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. Oh my, look at him go. So that's the story of Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. And after Rudolph did that, everybody loved to play with Rudolph, and I don't think he was sad anymore. So that's a fun story, and it's a story that's been around for a long time. So I hope you enjoyed it. Well, I hope you're getting ready for a Merry Christmas, and I'm hoping you're being nice to others and trying to be like Jesus Christ and our Heavenly Father. I love you, and I hope you have a great evening and a great day. And I'm glad I was able to work on the birdhouse with you guys in the garage. I hope you enjoyed watching me paint it. And now you got to see what it looks like. Let me hold it up. Here it is. Look at that. Isn't that cute? And Parker helped me put this on. It was falling off, so we needed to nail it on so it's nice and tight. There it is. There's the birdhouse. Well, I love you. Remember this. I love you so much. Have a good time. Bye-bye.